correctly reported, we, the authorities, are on a higher level of alert. For the citizens, I would say they ought to go about their holidays and enjoy themselves and make the most of it. But I would ask them to just be aware of their circumstances, and if they see anything suspicious, to report it immediately. And meanwhile, to know that we are doing everything we possibly can. We're taking extraordinary efforts in the government to act based on the incident out in the Pacific Northwest and what we know, and we're going forward. I don't think the American people should stop their holiday activities. I think they ought to go on and enjoy the season. But because we and the government are taking extra steps and we're on alert, I think it would be good for them and good for us if they would just be careful and suspicious, well, not suspicious, but aware of the circumstances. And if they see anything that doesn't look right, then report it to us. And if they do that, I think we'll have a good holiday, and I think we'll maximize our safety.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Fool. Please, let's take it out now. Got another wave to do.
And Donna Simons, graduate, DC Central Kitchen, Job Training Placement Program.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honored guests, members of the City Council, graduates of the Job Training Program. Welcome one and all to the DC Central Kitchen. We could not be more honored today, as you can imagine, to welcome the President of the United States back to the DC Central Kitchen. It's an obvious honor for us because it says a lot about the program we run here, but it says more about what we're trying to achieve. All across this country, programs have come to see what we've done. Now, with the help of Food Chain's national initiative, we're out there in about 50 cities, making this kind of thing happen all across the country, taking existing resources, food that would have been thrown away, the time, most importantly, the time. So many men and women come down here every day to volunteer. The heart of our community, bringing community together. That's so much of what we're about here. This is, first and foremost, a community kitchen. We know that giving away free food is not fighting hunger. We know it's going to take the community coming together if we're ever going to solve not only hunger, but the real root causes of hunger, poverty and unemployment. So many of you all have done so well, and I know you're proud. It's such a joy to see so many smiling faces out there. But what's really, I can't even imagine how much more prouder, is the fact that you all, there's an army, a growing army of men and women just like you across this country that have picked yourselves up, and you're working hard. And now it's our job to follow up and make sure you have everything you need to keep going forward. We know that a job is a great thing, and it's a brilliant first step, but you're gonna need a little bit more support. And we're hoping we can talk a little bit in the next century about childcare and about health care and about the kind of things people need to keep going so they don't have to ever come back. There's so many success stories to celebrate today. One of our favorites is our good friend Donna Simons. Donna was here last year when the President came and made lasagna with he and Mrs. Clinton. And when we looked around for someone who could represent not just that class, of which 90% are still working, but the whole program itself, Donna came right to mind. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce one of our favorite graduates, Donna Simons.
You have to excuse me, I have a cold today. I find it hard to believe. Last year I enrolled in this class at DC Central Kitchen hoping to learn a skill that would enable me to provide for my family. When the President and the First Lady came to cook, I couldn't believe that I had been selected to work with them. I also couldn't believe what a mean lasagna maker the President really is. Now a year has gone by. After graduating in January, I began working. I am now employed at Georgetown Law Center, Irmak Dining Services. And while I still have a long way to go, I am thrilled that my children and I moved from a small apartment to a new home. I also want to mention how proud I am of my daughter, Andrea Simons, that's here today. She received her honor roll trophy and award from her school, Brown Junior High School. She's a ninth grader. Thank you, Judy. And now I have been asked to return to the kitchen to introduce the president. I couldn't be more thrilled and nervous. Last year when we met the president, he was so interested in my life and my family and my dreams. For a man with so many important things weighing him down to take time out and ask about me, to show he cared. Well, I just want everyone to know how much I respect and admire him. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce to you the President of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Well, let me begin by thanking Robert Egger and all the students, the graduates, the staff, the volunteers who have made DC Central Kitchen one of the greatest sources of community strength in our entire nation. I want to thank Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton, your member of Congress, and Representative Tim Romer from Indiana for joining us today. I want to thank my longtime friend, your DC Council Chair, Charlene Drew Jarvis, and I think we have 4 other City Council members here. Thank you all for coming. And I want to thank Harris Wofford, the gentleman who runs our national service effort, and the AmeriCorps members who are here today. And Harris, thanks for the jacket. We now have over 150,000 young Americans have served in AmeriCorps since we established it in 1994. That's a pretty good record, and I'm very proud of them. I just wanted to also say, most importantly, thank you to Donna Simons. I am very proud of her. And she did a good job today, didn't she? And her daughter. Thank you. Now, last year we made lasagna. Today I had to put the filling in the bell peppers. And I did it with Steve, Melody, and Michelle. They're all better than I am. But I loved working again this year. I had a good time, and I learned about 3 other people. I want to say 3 things about DC Central Kitchen and its recipes. First of all, this place offers a recipe for opportunity. It's an empowerment classroom. You heard Donna's story. And one of the things I learned a long time ago in life is that everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. And most of them are pretty interesting. And they're all still being written. And the nice thing about your life story is you get up and write a page every day. And you have to decide, even no matter how bad things are, no matter what bad's happened to you, no matter what mistakes you've made, you still get to get up and write a new page every day. And this place helps people write good pages in that story. I want to tell you, last year, in addition to Donna, I met a lot of other interesting people here last year. I met a man last year named Francis Hill, who, stand up here. I want to tell you about this guy. He'd been living on the streets for 10 years before he got into this program. Right after he graduated, he went to work at the Cafe Atlantico. Pretty high-tone joint, not very far from here. Within weeks, he was promoted. In fact, someone on my staff talked to his boss who said he is by far the best worker he has ever had. He's now moved into his own apartment, bought his own car, just got engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Wanda. Good for you. That's a good thing to do. And he proposed while cooking a meal for her at home, a side benefit of being in this program here. So this place is a recipe for opportunity. Thank you for being Exhibit A. The DC Central Kitchen also offers a recipe for service. Every year, listen to this, every single year here, 5,000 volunteers roll up their sleeves and give something back to their community. People like Jose Andres, one of the premier young chefs in America. Is he here today? Stand up here, Jose. Now, despite the literally crazy demands of his job, he comes here every single week to share his passion and his skills with all the students, and he encourages other friends to join him every time he comes. Just imagine what we could achieve if everyone in this community, and in every community where there's a need like this, rose to the call of citizen service the way you have. Thank you very much. We honor you, sir. And finally, I'd like to point out DC Central Kitchen also does offer a recipe for alleviating hunger. And I want everyone in America to pay attention to this too. We are ending this century on a very high note. We have the strongest economy in my lifetime. We have the lowest unemployment in 30 years, the lowest African American and Hispanic unemployment ever recorded, the lowest poverty rate in 20 years. All those statistics are very good, and it's all true, and it's wonderful. But when I left church Sunday morning, there were still a lot of people in Lafayette Park lined up behind those vans waiting to get fed. And I think it is very important that we not forget that with all of the increasing number of jobs, and some of you represent that, with the decreasing poverty, and some of you represent that, the number of people that are in really dire straits is still very, very significant. For a lot of them have medical reasons, mental health reasons, other reasons, but they're still out there. They're on the streets. They don't have enough food to eat. The requests for emergency food in this community have in fact been increasing in recent years. So I want to thank you for that. This place takes food that would otherwise go to waste and provides 3,000 meals a day. Think of that. Just the DC Central Kitchen, 3,000 meals a day. Now I want to send out another message to America. There are people who need food in every community of any size in this country. The Department of Agriculture estimates that 96 billion pounds, let me say that again, 96 billion, not million, billion pounds of food is lost every year that could be consumed. From slightly bruised fruit at wholesale markets to unsold trays of lasagna at restaurants. Not my lasagna. That would all sound right. So, you remember what Mr. Egger said at the beginning of this? He said, you know, last year when I was here, there were 21 community kitchens like this one around the country. Now, there are going to be more than twice that many in this year. And you should be very proud of that. But I want, if among all the other messages, I hope this message will get out. In every community, civic-minded people ought to take an inventory of how much food is being wasted, where it is, how to gather it up, how to give it to the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, whoever else has a homeless mission that'll take care of that food and get it out. I mean, it is, when you think about the amount of food that's been wasted and the number of people you see lined up at every soup kitchen, at every community stop, at every place, not just here but around the country, it is appalling. And all we need is a system like you have in every community in America. And there wouldn't be any hungry people in this country. 96 billion pounds of food is more than enough to feed all the hungry people in America. And it's just being wasted. So I hope that communities, I hope that where this message goes out, if this is a problem and other communities, they'll look at the DC Central Kitchen model, and they'll go to work trying to save the wasted food. This is a job that all of us have to do. Government, but also community service organizations. And I think that what we've tried to do is to emphasize the role of the community organizations and to make sure they knew what we had in terms of resources that could help. A few years ago, I signed the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act, which now makes it a lot easier for private companies to donate food and for people like you to prepare and distribute it. Our Agriculture Secretary, Dan Glickman, has gotten the whole government working on food rescue programs like this one. And now the Agriculture Department is working around the country to form new grassroots partnerships to fight hunger, to increase local food production, and to help low-income families move into independence. But we've got to have the support of volunteers, and we have to have the willingness of the community. We come here at holiday season because everybody's thinking about this. But what we should do at holiday season is to make commitments that last all year long, not just at the holiday season. The AmeriCorps members here, I want to say again how proud I am of you, and what a testament you have been to the proposition that working with others is not a burden, it is a joy. It is not just a duty, it is a privilege. And whether you're preparing meals or teaching a child to read or painting an old school, you always get more than you give. Most of us get out of this life ahead of where we would be if all we got is just what we deserve. And I think that I think this is really an important thing to remember at this season. So again, I want to thank all of you. Thank you, Robert Egger. Thank you, graduates. Thank you, trainees. Thank you, staff and volunteers and supporters of the DC Central Kitchen. You have captured the spirit of the season, and I hope others will catch it from you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Not really. They don't.